Welcome, why, hey. Chronic, left, right, that's how I come, left, right, hey. Ooh, yeah, boy.
Selector, run the bass.
Welcome, why, hey. Chronic, left, right, that's how I come, left, right, hey. Ooh, yeah, boy.
Right back like you owe me a couple dollars. It's your boy Cosmonian. Checking back in. Your hostess with the most is. Burning like toast is, man. Keeping that light. Everything lit. You dig what I'm talking about? All year. We in a photosphere, man. It's your boy Cosmonian checking back in, man. Down here in Ooze. Just parked the fire ship. You dig what I'm talking about? On the roof. Took off the Ethereum goggles. You dig what I'm talking about? I got my I got my Aegean driving gloves on. You dig what I'm talking about? I took them off. You dig what I'm talking about? I got my nebular stomping boots on. You dig what I'm talking about? I had to take them off. You dig what I'm talking about? I had my giant driving jacket on. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm here back down in ooze to help lift them up. You dig what I'm talking about? As always, y'all know what's up. Every time we here, y'all know what we come to do. Every time, come to balance all balances and check all checks, because you know what happens next when you see that butterfly vortex. You listen. We fresh off a 3-part spiritualis. Right? We are now on Jehovah Chronicles lesson number 94. Number 94. Creeping up on that honey, creeping on the come up. Huh? I could have been took my channel and made it monetized. But that ain't what I do it for. You know what I mean? I don't want to cheapen it. You know? That's why I haven't done it. But you know, I don't get a lot of you don't get a lot of support when you're doing the right things. You dig what I'm talking about by the people. When you're talking that higher light, you know what I mean? They rather fight you, kill you than help you. So maybe I should just monetize it, help myself. You know what I mean? Thought I was trying to be real, trying to do something. Oh, I ain't these niggas doing this shit with them. Oh well, yeah, maybe I should too. Maybe I'm just here wasting my time. You know what I mean? In the other way, but I know there's benefits to it. You dig what I'm talking about? But there's a lot of boundness that come to it too. See, and they've been selling us this idea that we couldn't have our heaven here right now. And that ain't true. You know what I mean? We read yesterday that you did what I'm talking about. The rich man has his treasures here on earth, but the spiritual man lays up treasures in heaven. You did what I'm talking about? But what if you ain't rich, right? But you got a little something. What if you ain't super spiritual, but you got a little something? Trying to tell me I'm not going to have my cake and eat it too? I don't think it's going to work that way. So, after the 3-part spiritualis, man, if y'all didn't see spiritualis, man, just stop it. Stop right now. Go back. Go into the Cosmon Cal TV. Look in the Jehovah Chronicles, right? Look in the live. Go to about live 90, 91. It'll start spiritualis. Well, actually, if you go back some more, right? I got another live on spiritualis some more. I don't remember where it's at. Y'all can check that. It's in the earlier videos. But in 90, 91, 92, 93, if y'all haven't watched spiritualis, I suggest you dig what I'm talking about. That you go ahead and make you some time, get you some popcorn, man, some Kool-Aid, and yeah, that thing was heavy. It was a lot in spiritualis. You know, as always, you know, I mean, we like to share some of this love. You dig what I'm talking about? Higher light homeschool. I like that. Who is this right here, y'all? Higher light homeschool. Who is this? Let me know. Have we didn't met, or you know who he is or whatever. And peace to you and greetings to you and your family. You dig what I'm talking about? Who we got up in here? My big sis up in here. Big Iman. Mahaya. You dig what I'm talking about? She on the Creative Gang too, man. Always whipping up some fire stuff on the stove. You dig what I'm talking about? Her and Iman Huber. You dig what I'm talking about? They stay on there whipping that thing up, keeping us all fresh and organic and in the vegetarian mind state. You dig what I'm talking about? Always about elevation with them sisters. So thank you for your dietary knowledge. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all sisters gonna save our lives. This is why I keep telling Sister Huber all the time, write your faith cookbook. Write it. See, what we're gonna have to do is put it, you know what I mean? Like put the structure together with the pictures and all that stuff, and then let her write what she want into the pages. We're gonna put that together for my big Iman. She better than your Iman anyway. Shout out to the sister Tabitha. Many blessings, big brother Cosmine. You dig what I'm talking about? And the beloveds of the Great Spirit. That's right, sis. That's right. Love, light, and balance to you out there in the Caribbean, man. May the duppies stay up off you. You dig what I'm talking about? My Cali Connect, huh? The Cali Connect himself, huh? Young Dreadful Cosmine. Shout out to my bro, man. Taz Vortex, peace, fam. Love the work you put out. Keep your foot on these false guys' necks. That's right. That's right. Shout to Taz Vortex. Love, light, and balance to you and your family. You dig what I'm talking about, Cosmine? You dig what I'm talking about? The Geechee God himself. Jaway. Huh? What's going on, bruh? Huh? Florida Connect. Nigga, listen, you can't go nowhere. I'm gonna get somebody to punch you in your mouth. You can't go nowhere. Somebody gonna hit you in your shit. I'm just playing. But yeah, let them know, man. We worldwide. Gang. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to the Creative Gang. That's right. Sea lion this thing. That's right. Keep the torch lit. Keep it burning. More fire. More fire. Aya. Say to burn my kingdom, boy, you must shoot fire. To burn my kingdom, boy, you must shoot fire. That water rod fire. Spin that ass like a tire. You dig what I'm talking about? We that's how you break a hell knot. You dig what I'm talking about? When that water rod fire. You dig what I'm talking about? Spin that ass like a tire. Fire wads. Water rods. Y'all better learn up. Hey there, Trini. You see me? Young homie, huh? Black Migo gang. Shout out to my young bro, man, Prince Judavon. You dig what I'm talking about? Black Migos. You dig what I'm talking about? Real Mexicans, nigga. You dig what I'm talking about? Viva la raza out this motherfucker. Shout out to Prince Judavon. Lawrence Burton in the house. Created gang, man. That's right. Peace to all the Nirvanian goddesses, man. And all the righteous gods. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, I know who this is. Hi, True Beauty. I know who this is. Thanks for coming through, too. On the lookout. Peace, blessings, infinite realms, luminaries unto all beloved and beloved. Cosmonian. Yeah, that's right. Love, light, and Ethereal hugs from the big OG. You dig what I'm talking about? all the way out there, man. We're going to get to this one. Now, before I got into spirit tellers, I got into the, I was getting into some of the aboriginal history in America. You dig what I'm talking about? So I kind of wanted to dip back into that. You dig what I'm talking about? Because there's so much stuff, right, out there that, first of all, we all know. We all know it. You dig what I'm talking about? Ain't no denying this. Ain't no denying the fact that the nigger in America is the indigenous man of America. The black man of America come from here. Just like the black man from Africa come from Africa. It's like the black man from India come from India. Aboriginal people are worldwide. We just the ones from America. Huh? Are all Aboriginals copper-colored, Cosma? Yes, for the most part. But where I differ, right, where I don't, the thing that I try not to do, I try not to limit the creator. You dig what I'm talking about? And tell them that there ain't an Aboriginal pale man. I'm not going to say that. No. First of all, pale skin doesn't denote your nationality. You can't tell who by what color they is. That's lookership. That's pseudo. That's subjective. You can't tell what a person's heritage, nationality, or culture by how they look. You can't judge a book by its cover. So there were absolutely pale-skinned indigenous people. That don't make them no less Aboriginal. That don't make them no less Yaphet or Chinese. That don't make them no less African. We gotta get past colorism. Right? I think I'm gonna say this video to the end, and I'm gonna go back where I was, right? And if y'all can make sure y'all can see this screen. Make sure y'all can see this screen right here. Let me take this off of here. Take this off of here real quick, y'all. Maybe I can blow this up just a tad for y'all, so y'all can see this. This, friends and family, is the famous, or some would say infamous, Billy Bowlegs, of the Mongoloidal side of Native Americans from Florida. This is the look at him. At this time, he still got a little melanin popping. Is this a Negro? Does he have long, black, coarse nigger hair? He might got a little copper in him. This is not a Negro. Nor is he from America. This is what we're going to reveal. That these people are Mongoloidal and they come from Asia. Right? Many of them only coming to the Americas around 1000 AD. 1000 CE of the Common Era. These are not many times ancient people. This is why he kept Mongoloidal customs, Mongoloidal dress, and Mongoloidal, or what we would call Iroquoian type or Alouette type speech. Am I saying, Cosmon, is Cosmon saying that, oh, all the Iroquoian speaking people are not? No, we got them in our family too. Get over it. We mixed. A lot of us got this native blood in us, right? This Mongoloidal Asian blood. You dig what I'm talking about? A lot of us got that Eurasian mix. Huh? Like the modern day Native American, they have a European mix. This is why they lost their pretty brown skin, huh? This is why they lost that color, huh? Because the sins of what you did play out right on your face, my Native brothers. Huh? Your Y haplogroup tell everything. And the fact that you were never enslaved, you came from Asia, never enslaved, and yet you took slaves, huh? But we don't trip over that. But are they slaves? Let's look at these slaves. Are they really slaves? Let me ask y'all a question real quick, right? Let me get y'all point of view on this. If you a slave, right? If you a slave, that means you don't have a point of view. That means you just chattel slavery. That means you don't run nothing. You don't tell nobody what to do. And you on the bottom of the pecking order. If you a slave, right? If y'all agree with that a slave is the lowest of the human titles that can be applied to a person, and also is the lowest of the low physical living space. If you agree with that, hit me with a 1 in the chat. If you believe a slave, right, is the least powerful social construct that there could be, right, hit me with a 1 in the chat. Right? Is there anybody below a slave? Right? Right? Okay, I see the ones coming in. My thing is this. So we should never see, right, a slave, right, telling his masters what to do. We should never see that. Because if we see that the slave is actually running the supposed master, that the slave is making all the decisions, that the slave tells you when we can eat, where we can eat, how we can eat, if we can talk to these people. How is the slave smarter, more intellectual, more well-read, and more intelligent than his slave master? Ain't that strange, y'all? So if we see these so-called slave-ass African Negroes that ain't nothing, right? This is what they telling us. These people ain't nothing. We should never see them in any form, shape, or fashion dominating over their masters, huh? This is why we do real research. This is Billy Bowlegs. Look at him. Mongoloid. Native American, right? Look at him. Look how he dressed. Right? Notice the moccasins and the furs, and he dressed like Daniel Boone now. He dressed like the Mongolians. Watch this. Watch this. They still dress like that. Let me show y'all. I'll show y'all some of these ancient images. Yeah, that's the ladies. They do it. I want to show one with the men too. Now look. Right? Look at dog right here. Look at dog right here. Let me show some of this. I want to show dog in his regalia. Dang, where'd it go? Let me see if I can get back over here. I want to show you how they be dressing be looking. It's like patchy. You know what I mean? Like different things sold on top of different patterns. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now look at the Mongolese women. Now notice, like, I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna show, see how it's patchy. Dig what I'm talking about? Colors, stripes, zigzags, multiple things on top of each other. You dig what I'm talking about? Same thing. Not only do they have, this is not hate, not only that, but let's take it to the DNA, right? These Mongolians today, right, speak a derivative, or the American Indians, these guys, right, speak a derivative language of the Mongolian today. Not only that, they got the same blood types. This is a Q haplogroup, right? These Native Americans, the Mongoloidal natives, right? They have a Q haplogroup. Guess what? So do they. These people were called, this type, right? Were called the Iraqi by the Algonquin copper-colored people of America when these people start coming here, right? This is my theory. They came here, these people, right? I think these people come here much sooner than we think, right? I think you start to see these people pop up on the scene the same time you see the many of the the Aztecs pop up on the scene. You dig what I'm talking about? Right around 1,000. And could these honestly be your Vikings, your Eurasians, your Skraeling, right? Your Allens, your Vandals, who are a Eurasian people, just like the native Mongoloidal Native Americans who are on the reservation are today. They are European and Asian, Eurasians. There's no doubt about that. And over almost 80% of the Y chromosome in the Q bloodline, these guys, is European. So the male line is dominated 80, 85, almost 90% by European males. Right? We just saying we all children of the Most High, but our experiences make us different. How we react with our environment makes us different. Look, this is the proud Seminole chief in his 1852 De Guerrero type is Billy Bowlegs, who took charge of 200 surviving warriors after the 1838 surrender, right? So this is why he up here cheesing and posing and shit. This 14 years later, he didn't already sold out. Remember, this is 8 years before the Indian Civil War. Oh yeah, happening exact same time as the American Civil War. Interesting. Who took charge of 200 surviving warriors after the 1838 Indian Wars, surrender of the Seminole leader Osceola. After a year of bitter guerrilla warfare in the Florida swamps, Bowlegs sued for peace. Did he sue for peace? How? Could he speak in English? How? He made a deal with a corrupt Indian agent. How? How'd he speak to him? You think he had a master control of the English language? Or do you think the European cared enough to learn the Seminole, which first of all is a group of people. First of all, this word Seminole or Cimarron, right, ain't even English. It's French. No, it's actually Spanish. My bad. It's Spanish. Cimarron. Right? Is a confederation of a bunch of different tribes. The biggest of them, who was doing the most fighting, is my brothers, the Timucua. Negroes, ain't no mistaking these. You can't even listen. They call them slaves, niggas, Negroes, blacks. So we know who we talking about, right? And they know that this Billy Bowleg ain't no Negro. Any white man can look at this dude and see this is not a Negro, right? But he sued for peace. He made a deal with corrupt Indian agents, departing out of Florida with what? 50 slaves. So he got slaves, right? But remember, slavery ain't always what they crack it up to be. This is what Cosmon here to show a little bit today, right? Let's go look at some of the synonyms, right, for the word slave, because were they slaves in fact, or were they indentured? Was this a job that these so-called slaves entered into? Let's look for some of the synonyms for indentured servant, right? Right off top, we got chattel, Huh? Chattel slavery. So a chattel slave is also an indentured servant. How do we know? Right? Because they're treated the same. Remember, most of these people signing these so-called indentures can't read the language it's written in. This is why you never see them sign any indenture paper. It's always their what? Their thumbprint. They don't know what they sign. And then they signing themselves over. Because think about it. If they don't have a copy of their indenture, well, then you turn into Anthony Johnson against the brother Carson. Carson didn't have his indenture paper, even though he knew he had been indentured. So after his 7 years, and then Anthony Johnson kept him another 7 years, because he was an indenture, right? He was which was by itself a miracle that he was able to even get to the courtroom, because many times they would just stop or kill him, or you know what I mean? So he got down there and was able to file suit. Why? Because Carson, if he was under indenture, right, is a white man by law, regardless of his skin color. So we figure out right there that what black is and what white is actually has nothing to do with skin color. But synonyms for indentured servants are also chattel, a serf, huh? A European word for slave, or another word for it is a peon, because you are as a serf, you are in peonage to the land. Also a servant, look right here, slave. What? Bond slave. So anywhere you see the word slave, you can also attach in bond slave, indenture, servant, right? Because to be a slave, you got to act like a slave. You must be being treated like a slave, or you are something different, right? Now we see the indentures are being treated like chattel. They can be moved around anywhere they want to. You dig what I'm talking about? Most of them people told you, they was telling them people, yeah, no, we got y'all, man. You dig what I'm talking about? We just gonna move y'all down here, right on the coast over here. Where you say you wanted to go? Oh, but Timucua, yeah. That's where we gonna take you with the Timucua. We gonna take you down there with the Timucua, and we gonna hook y'all up and get y'all there, man. All you gotta do here, just sign this paper. You dig what I'm talking about? That ensures us that we can get you to where you need to be, sir. Right? And if you keep that indenture, guess what? Who gets that land if that slave dies? What happens if you do an Anthony Johnson and just never pay him? And then when he go to court, he just say, no, I didn't have an indenture. No. My man, like that, I did have paperwork, man. Show him that paper. He was like, I don't have any paperwork. I know not what you speak of, sir. I don't understand your babble, sir. Made the first slave. But look, Billy Bowlegs is leaving out with 50 slaves, or indentures. Remember, this could be a job. An indenture is the same exact thing as a job application, right? They didn't tell us really what was going on. They gave us the horrible parts. Oh, they were raping your grandmother, beating the Negro slave down to nothing. Yeah, right. You think? Listen, you think some cracks could have came over here and enslaved a million Cosmons? Ain't no way. This is why, from the time them niggas start coming in to the Americas, Negroes, aboriginal guatamians, aka Indians, the indigenous man of Guatemala, fought them every step of the way. Right? Win, lose, draw. I'm talking about from the time of Cortez, Pizarro, Verrazano, all the way to civil rights. Through Nagasaki, Japan. You dig what I'm talking about? To Korea, down to Guam. Niggas fought in every war that touched this thing. Ain't no way we ever lay. You can't tell. And then once we go back and do your genealogy, and I did mine. I had a proven ancestor that fought in every single uprising since Bacon's Rebellion. I also want to throw this out there to you too. Wasn't until 1677, after or during and after Bacon's Rebellion, that the word white became, that anybody in the world was start to be called white. Wasn't until 1681 that it was actually put on the record. It's a social status. It's a tax base. It's a way that your identity is handled in the system. That's what white is. It means European and Christian. It means non-taxable or taxable, and it means you are a citizen and compliant to the rules of the crown. Got nothing to do with color. So look, Billy Bowlegs is leaving out with 50 slaves and $100,000 in hard cash in 1852, 8 years before the American Civil War. Right? Now, I want to drop down a little bit because I want y'all to hear right? This is Florida. This is where they at, right? The Timucua is all down here. They're the whole eastern seaboard. All down here. All your quote-unquote Seminoles. All down here too. You dig what I'm talking about? Deep up in there. Deep all through the panhandle. This is where all the wars was being fought. All up in here. Right along here. And down here in the Dismal Swamp. The swamps. Right? Hold on. Am I showing this? Oh, my bad, y'all. This is what I was saying right here. This is where we was fighting. This is Florida. This is the seat of war in Florida. Right? This is all Panhandle down. This is all Timucua area, early and more now, right? Northern Florida into Georgia. It's all Timucua, Timucua. You dig what I'm talking about? Who are really a Geechee people, You dig what I'm talking about? But all up here is where they was fighting, all down the eastern seaboard and down here in the swamps. This is where they was getting it in at. Right? But I want y'all to see this. Look at this man here. Right? Y'all to check him out. This is General Thomas Sidney Jessup. General Thomas Sidney Jessup. This is the man who was in Florida warring with the so-called Seminoles, right? It ain't, no better eyewitness than an eyewitness, a nigga who actually in it. But because of his status as a general, right, and his ability, mental state to gauge his opponent, right, it becomes, at times like this historically where his view, right, becomes pertinent, especially in war, how he sees what he goes up against, right? So let's see what Jessup has to say, right? The U.S. Major General Thomas Sidney Jessup recognized the role the black, now dodge this black hijack too, man, because remember, ain't nobody black. But we're gonna use this term to describe that is at least two different people, a mongoloidal type and a nigger type. So when they say black, they mean nigger, right? They trying to say we slaves, niggers, colored. And you dig what I'm talking about? You could put mulatto in there. You could put what else they'll put in there? African American. You dig what I'm talking about? You might as well put coon, slave, because they're all synonyms, remember? Jessup recognized the role of the black Seminole played. He declared in 1836, this is during the Indian Wars, and pre-Trail of Tears. This is pre-Trail of Tears. This is when they fighting. He's saying, throughout my operations, I found the Negroes, right, the most active and determined warriors. Huh? But I thought y'all was some punk ass slaves, right? They tell us we ain't do nothing. You think we just let people listen? Ain't no way. You know in your heart right now you would rather die than be enslaved. You don't think your ancestors felt the same way? You think you the first one? You ain't. He said, and during my conference with the Indian chiefs, I ascertained that they, the Negroes, exercised an almost controlling influence over not only the Negroes, but the Mongoloid. Because remember, he's saying it's some black Seminoles and there's some Seminoles that look another way. He's describing two different people. Ain't nobody never explained to us how these Negroes, who supposedly from Africa, spoke to the Mongoloidal natives. You took 7 years of Iroquois. You took 7 years of Seneca language, huh? You took 10 years. You got a doctorate in Anahuina, huh? You speak that Iroquoian base Alouette language. This is what you're trying to tell me? As a slave, they sent you to school and taught you all the indigenous languages, so where you could speak to them, right? if you ever just chose to run off with them or do something or something. Do that sound even feasible? Do that sound logical? That they taught slaves the Algonquin language? Or excuse me, not the Algonquin language, but the Iroquoian based languages? Why would they do that? That don't even make sense. But we see that the Negroes running the Mongoloids. He say, this you may be assured is a Negro and not, an Indian war. Bullshit. What he don't know is the Negro is an Indian too. Why do they think Indians, right, are these stringy dog-haired, like, stringy black-haired Eurasians? How could a people from Europe and a people from Asia ever be indigenous to America? That don't even make sense. But this lie, they kept this lie up, right? Let me show y'all why y'all think these Indians is the niggas, the real American Aboriginal Indians is these the Eurasian that is on reservations now. Let me show you why. Because they perpetuated a lie. This is genocide against the Aboriginal Indian. Why? Because they pump this as an Indian. Huh? Y'all remember the crying man? This nigga? This is why y'all think these Indians is these stringy-haired, kind of pale brown, pale skinned people, right? But let's find out who the, because see, y'all think this an Indian. Let me ask a question, right? Hold on, let me blow it up a little bit. Let me go back. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna blow this up a little bit because I want y'all to see this guy, right? Right? Hold on. And look how they try to put a little color on him. You dig what I'm talking about? How many of us, be real? How many of us, right? This guy. Hold on. Let me go back. I thought I had it blew up. Yeah, this guy. This guy right here. How many of us coming up were taught in school that this is what an Indian looks like? If you were taught that this is what an Indian looks like coming up in school, hit me with a 2 in the chat. Hit me with a 2 in the chat. This is Iron Eyes Cody, also known as the Crying Indian. If you came up, right, in school, wherever you was at, if you was taught that that's what an Indian looked like, huh? Hit me with a 2 in the chat. I see the 2s coming in. I was taught that too. Now, mind you, this is what the people who live on the reservation look like, right? But really, this is paper genocide. Perpetuating, you dig what I'm talking about, the $5 Indian lie. These people are Europeans. What you talking about, Cosmine? That ain't no European. That's Big Chief Smoke'em Sack. Huh? That's Big Chief Bear Nuts. Huh? Don't he want some wampum? Ain't this nigga gonna jump in a teepee somewhere? How? No, the question is, how is this a fucking Indian? Right? How is this an Indian when this is Iron Eyes Cody? Right? Who was born Espada Ascor de Corte. Huh? Do that sound like an Indian to you? Espada Oscar de Corte. He was an American actor. What? This nigga who they taught us that all the Indians look like is an actor. But wait, it gets worse. Of Italian descent. This is an Italian. What'd he do? What'd he do? He duped niggas visually. He portrayed Native Americans in Hollywood films, famously as Chief Iron Eyes Cody and Bob Hope's The Pale Face. Oh, and look, in 1948, y'all don't even know why that's important. Y'all don't even know why 1948 is important. But the nigga that they taught us was the semblance or the symbol for all Indians. If you don't look like this, you ain't no Indian. This goofball is from Italy. Right? And they caught him up in his later life. You dig what I'm talking about? He used to stay running from the camera. Like, nigga, because his mama, his daddy, his sister, everybody, all them niggas put him out there. Like, nigga, you ain't no Indian. Better come get some of this pasta primavera. You dig what I'm talking about? You better come get some of this chicken tortellini. Huh? First of all, we know what the Aboriginal American look like. Jaja told us. He said they tall. They copper colored, for one. And they got long, black, coarse, nigger hair. See, it's only one person in the Americas with black, coarse hair that grow long. Mind you, even only till an African admixes with another race or admixes back with his American Indian brother, right? Till they start growing out their head. Remember, Jaja said I left not even the hairs on the man's head so you can tell. I left everything. He said the Hamitic man has short black coarse hair. That the American Indian has long black coarse hair. Then you find out Abraham's whole point, being Shemitic, Negroidal, was to come in and mix his genetics into Africa. So Africa could raise up their own Abrahams, their own Moseses, Iwatas, Poes, Chinese. This is why you don't hear of the Orishas before 3953 BC. You don't hear them. You don't hear nothing until after Abram comes. Earliest you start hearing about the Orishas is right before, about 3200. About 100 years before, or excuse me, about 3000, about 100 years after the foundation of Egypt, almost 1,000 years later. You know what I mean? From the time that Abram actually walked into the land that would become the land of Egypt. It already been there 900 years before that. Before Narmer, before Minis. You dig what I'm talking about? AKA Bakal. Right? Or watch me explain that too. But yeah, we all got taught that this was an Indian. That's what we got taught, y'all. He said, but be assured that this is a Negro and not an Indian war. And if it not speedily be put down, the South will feel the effects of it before next season. Right? Now, this is next season. Right? Now, this is General Thomas Sidney Jessup, writing Secretary of War Joel Poinsett, indicating his view on the need for a policy reconsideration, allowing some Seminoles to remain in Florida and driving a wedge between interests of the Seminole Indians and the Seminole Negro called a maroon. Wasn't no generations and generations of ad mixing. How did these Negroes go around these natives? Huh? How did they speak? Because you're going to find out a little later that the natives came to the people who was indentured or enslaved. Now, many of them probably their own people too. And spoke to them and prepped them on their plans. Like, look, this is what we going to do. 5:30 on the 15th. Nick, we it's going up. What you going to do? They was like, all right, man, a couple of y'all can come in here and hide. And so how did the niggas know all that? How was they able to express that to these natives? Now remember, they switching the terms around. They calling the Indian a Negro and calling the native an Indian. Right? Stealing history. Writing it to their own idea, because in their white Western Eastern European mind, this Negro who looks similar to an African can't be from here. And this is the same white supremacist ideology that they've indoctrinated our people with. This is Willie Lynch. They have told us that because you brown, you must come from Africa. Everybody come from Africa. You a monkey. You a monkey. You a monkey. You come from loose. No, we don't. No. I've been a human since Adam. Was Adam a little more beastly? Yeah, he had to be. So was the earth. Earth was more wild at the time. Right? So he needed to be just to survive. Right? So he said he needed to drive a wedge between the Seminole natives and the Seminole Indians, the Maroons. The two races, right? The Negro, who is the Indian, the Angui. He from here, he indigenous to here. And the Indian, the native, the Mongoloid, who migrated from another country. See how they swapping identities? They removing it by the word Negro. They removed this person from America, period. Because when you say Negro, it gotta be from Africa. But the crazy part is they want to tell you about the forefathers of the black races, Ham, right? He's not the father of the Negro. So where he come from then? Y'all don't even know why I put guatamian up here. Why he didn't say Indian? He could put Indian up there. Because that's the ancient name of this place. Right? As a matter of fact, there's a name even more ancient than Guatemala. If you thought America, Amaru, all that's new. All of that is new. All that come within the last 500-600 years. Not saying that there were no Amaru people. You dig what I'm talking about? This is the land of love. That's what America means. The land of rich love. You dig what I'm talking about? Or the good land, the land with good people on it. This is America. You dig what I'm talking about? But that's new. You dig what I'm talking about? Our ancestors conveyed that to them, once they got here in the 1600s. They heard them names in the Caribbean. But you dig what I'm talking about? If you went to the Americas, that's not what they called it. If you went down into the Andes Mountains, that's not what they called it. When you went off into Mexico, fucking with the aliates, do y'all know what the aliates are? Huh? Do you know who they are? You better learn who your people are. They are the Mayans. Why do I say the Mayan? But a lot of times predates the American. It is the American Negro. Is because we have sickle cell anemia trait on the same par as they do, and sickle cell is only passed down from father and mother to child. Oh, but black people in Africa have sickle cell too, Casman. Well, almost 85% of them die within the first year of them living, and that type of sickle cell anemia has a mutation on it because the malaria that is in Africa and the malaria that is in America is a little different. The animal is not the same. The mosquito is not the same. That's in Africa. That's in Mesoamerica. Now you must ask yourself, Mesoamerica, where all the Mayans and all that's desert. So where is all the water it would take to be a malaria-laced country, right? Where is all that water now in that Mexican region? Just something you can think of. The two races, the Negro and the Indian, are rapidly approximating. They are identified in interests and feelings, and I have ascertained that at the Battle of Wahoo, a Negro, the property of a Florida planter, was one of the most distinguished of the leaders. And I have learned that the depredations committed on the plantations east of St. John's were perpetrated by the plantation Negroes, headed by an Indian. Now, how are you an Indian Negro? And if you're an Indian Negro, are you slave? How did you know to go to these people? Did you live as an Indian before you was enslaved? How you talk to them? Yeah, Indian daddy and a Negro mama. Who taught them Indian? What they call an Indian. Who taught them that native Iroquoian tongue? This is what y'all trying to tell us. Make it make sense. John Caesar, since killed and aided by some 6 or 7 vagabond Indians. But I thought John Caesar, right? I thought John Caesar ran the plantation Negroes. You see? An Indian Negro, he had 7 vagabond Indians with him. Why would these Indians follow John Caesar? Nigga, you was just enslaved. Or was you? Or was you? Or did you, John Caesar, go save them niggas on the plantation? Like, come on, y'all. It's time to go. And aided by 6 or 7 vagabond Indians. Why is the Negro now leading the Indians when he was just leading Negroes? That don't make no sense. Who had no character among their people as warriors. How? Should the Indians remain in this territory, the Negroes among them will form a rallying point for runaway Negroes from the adjacent states. And should they remove the fastnesses of the country would be immediately occupied by Negroes. It says this is from the United States Congress, American State Papers, Military Affairs 7, page 876. It says, by itself, this letter is perhaps the strongest documentary piece of evidence that the slave rebellion that took place in conjunction with the joint Indian Maroon, they are the same. Listen, the Maroon is the Indian. They just trying to say he from Africa. This Indian is a native. He just from the more colder regions of the Americas. That's where he migrated to. Right? They was brought here. You dig what I'm talking about? They came here. They migrated here. They are the Eurasian. They are the Vikings who came here 1,000. Eric the Red and all that. That's them. Yeah. Eurasians. Valens, Andals, Allens. You dig what I'm talking about? Mixed down Hunnish people. Yeah. Eurasians. Took in conjunction with the joint Indian Maroon War in Florida constituted the strongest military threat the country ever experienced from organized slave resistance. Apart from the macro rebellion of Southern slaves that took part during the U.S. Civil War. So the slaves in the South was fighting on side of the South. Why? Why would you fight to stay in slavery? Hold on one second. I'll be right back, y'all. Why? Why would these so-called slaves pick up their gun and go die for massa? They didn't. Let's just get that out the way. They didn't. They wasn't fighting to stay in slavery, right? Many of these so-called Negroes owned slaves. Let's get that out the way. All right? Many of the people in the South that's fighting is black. They had Europeans enslaved. Why you think the government went to war over this? They wasn't fighting to free your black ass. Lincoln was ready to leave you where you was at. They wasn't fighting over you. They was enslaving pale Europeans, and that's who was getting freed. Yeah, they told you the story in reverse. Wasn't enough white people here to fight a war. Period. Why you think it's always niggas and so-called Indians you see as the majority of the troops in the North and the South? You know, they tried to push this on people, right? In like 61, they tried to do a draft, right? Tried to make niggas, you know, oh, you gonna do you about to go, and they burnt New York down. Y'all better go look that up. 1861 draft riots in New York, nigga, they burnt that. Listen, they wasn't going for that. They burnt New York down. Your ancestors in the South wasn't fighting to stay enslaved. They was fighting to save their land. The only reason they was fighting for the plantation is because they owned the plantations. It's the only reason they was there. The story is all twisted. Now, in the letter, right, Jessup was conveying his personal assessment of the racial dynamics of the Florida conflict, opinions that history corroborated. Jessup revealed his clear understanding that plantation rebels conspired with the Indians and the black Seminole Maroons. So that's who was enslaved, the Seminole. The Indians were enslaved. These are the people they calling Maroons and Negroes. They just Seminoles. Timucua, Yamasi, Gullah, Oro. You dig what I'm talking about? Jessup revealed his clear understanding that plantation rebels conspired with the Indians. How? And the plantation rebels conspired with the Indians and the black Indians, the Maroons. That they rose to ranks of prominence. How? They don't even know how to fight, right? They slaves. They don't know anything. You're stupid. You're dumb. Huh? You see how they trying to tell you your story? That they rose to ranks of prominence and that their alliance with the Maroons constituted the core of fighters in the strategic theaters. So the niggas is doing all the fighting. He further ventures a realistic and informed opinion that a triple-headed hydra of Maroons, Indians, and plantation slaves, who are the Maroons, would, if it remained unchecked, spread large-scale rebellion to the plantations of the South. This is from johnhorse.com. Now, I want y'all to look at this guy. Get a good look at this guy. That's a nigga. Facial hair, brown skin, nigga naps. You dig what I'm talking about? Broad, big lips. You dig what I'm talking about? His nose ain't that wide. He got a nose like mine. But look at these cheeks. Look at that broad face. Look at the half forehead. That's a Negro. Right? Is it? Is that a Negro? Let's see who this is. Because, boy, I'm about to peel y'all cap. Because remember, Billy Bowlegs left with 150,000 cash, right? And 50 quote-unquote slaves, right? Let's see who this is. Let's go down, right? Check him out. Now, hold on. I want to show you how Billy Bowleg look. Let me show you how Billy Bowleg dress. Let me go back up. Now, look at this. Look how this nigga dress. He in some, his mama made this shit. You dig what I'm talking about? This nigga got, duck skin ass boots on, some bullshit. This nigga ain't none of this shit cotton. This is like weaved grasses and hemp and all this. This shit itchy as hell. Right? Check out Billy Bowlegs. This is supposed to be the master. Check him out. Got the moccasins on. You know what I mean? He got them era. That nigga got them air alouettes on. He got them air Eskimos, them Eskimo 5s on. You dig what I'm talking about? Check him out. Now I want you to check Cuz out. Right? Notice Billy Bowleg ain't had damn stitch of cotton on. Look at Cuz. Ooh, he got the AC Doocy cocked on them niggas. You dig what I'm talking about? He got a whole 3-piece button-up suit with the ruffles and feathers on his shit. This nigga got the dob on. Oh, this a gangbang. Nigga, he a Crip. He got the hat right here. He got the rag on. This nigga he start Crip walking. You dig what I'm talking about? How I know he Crip? Because he got the cane, nigga. He got on leather boots. Real kick you in your ass boots. You dig what I'm talking about? Like the niggas in Texas wear. You dig what I'm talking about? He got the cuffs in his shit. That nigga shit creased. He got on cotton. He got on slacks. Like this nigga creased. Guess who this is? This Billy Bowleg slave. So they say. This is Bruno. Huh? They say the Negro slave and favorite of Billy Bowlegs. Now, how this nigga Shab and he Sugar Shab? He got the cane. You dig what I'm talking about? He gang banging. Look at it, look at it. He got the rag on, Ain't Your Mama style. He got it tied up like Pop. You dig what I'm talking about? Cock AC Doocy to the side, to the left to his Crip. You dig what I'm talking about? He got the hat on. He got the hat on. He got the 10-gallon. He got that. All my exes live in Texas. He got that 10-gallon boy on. He fresh as shit. This nigga got a suit on. But this supposed to be the slave. Watch this. Ben Bruno. This Ben Bruno. But I thought we got all our nice names from the slave master, from the Canaanite guy. Y'all got y'all last names from the Flavian. This nigga last name already Bruno. Ill part is there are a lot of Brunos in England. Y'all remember the great boxer, Frank Bruno? Fought Mike Tyson and all that shit. Got knocked out. But remember, them Brunos deep in Europe today. But this Ben Bruno, this the so-called favorite slave of Billy Bowleg. Do this nigga look like a slave to you? This nigga ain't never picked a cotton a day in his life. This nigga sugar sharp. He got the butterfly collar on. What you call that thing when you got the little ruffles? You got the little ruffles in the front of your shit. What you call that right there? That's not a corset. That's a damn, what is that called, y'all? Somebody throw it in the chat. This little thing, that little neck, the little ruffle. That boy sugar sharp. This is Ben Bruno, right? He is, listen, he is the interpreter. What? How Ben Bruno speak more languages than the master? He is the advisor. What? The slave telling the master what to do? Confidant? What? But you're a slave. You're a slave. Uh-oh. I don't think slavery is what they making it out to be, y'all. Because look, because not only is he the interpreter, he advises this nigga. He telling what to do. Not only do he telling what to do, he is confident. So when he telling what to do, he believe it and he do it. And what? He the special favorite of King Billy Bowlegs. Look what they say about him. He is a fine, intelligent looking Negro. Well, how did this Negro, first of all, if y'all saying he come from Africa, who taught him English? And then, who taught him the language that Billy Bowlegs speak? I'm just saying. Because he is interpreter. He's his interpreter. So that means he would have had to been dealing with the Spanish, the French, the English, and he would have had to been able to speak Dutch. Because these is all the people you coming into contact with. Right? So he's an interpreter. So that means he speaks multiple languages. How? Negro slave from Africa. Now, look what they're saying about him. Unlike his master, he shows a decided predilection for civilized life. So he's saying, this nigga, he that nigga. He come out sugar sharp. He trying to, I ain't in no teepees. I'm not sleeping on no ground. I got a bed. I wash my hind parts every day. I'm civilized. We civilized y'all. You didn't civilize me. He said, unlike his master, the barbaric, heathenistic slave owner, he shows a predilection for civilized life, right? So he says, he got he's geared towards. You dig what I'm talking about? Who taught him that? I thought he was a slave. Who taught him that? Look what he said. And he more civilized in his actions than Billy Bowlegs. Speech and all. And an early visit to a ready-made clothing establishment speedily transformed him to a credible imitation of a white man's nigger. Remember when Django? Remember when Dutch Schultz went and got Django that suit? He got that loud ass blue suit. That's what Billy Bowlegs did. Ben Bruno. Ben Bruno hopped straight up. Ben Bruno came straight up out the pen when he got fresh. He said he makes a very credible imitation of a white man nigga. So the niggas, right, dress like this. Remember, this 1800s, you're supposed to be a Negro slave. Look what he say. Look what he say. The slave. He talking about the slave now. Ben Bruno. He says, Ben Bruno has more brains than Billy. Uh-oh. And all his tribe. Who the master? So whatever they telling you a slave is, right? That don't mean you bound to another or beneath another nigga. Whatever that means. Because I'm smarter than y'all. So how you gonna run me? Ain't gonna happen. He said Ben Bruno is smarter than Billy Bowlegs and all his goddamn tribe put together. And exercises, listen, an almost unbounded influence over his master. He telling Billy Bowlegs what to do. Who somebody lying. How is the slave the master and the master the slave? Think about it. How is the slave have unbounded influence over his quote-unquote master? It's impossible. Unless what they've been telling us about this slavery, about this indenture, ain't always right. Look what he say. The Negro slaves, right? The slaves. The know nothing, don't know nothing, you all fucked up, you can't read, you can't do shit, you's a nobody, you from Africa, you a hoe ass nigga because you let a couple white people enslave you, and your daddy a hoe ass nigga because he enslaved you, he let some white people enslave him, and his daddy a hoe ass nigga. Because first of all, and then your story is that first of all, you ain't never fight in Africa. You ain't fighting damn time over there. You came over here and let a couple crackers enslave you. You ain't never fight. But you get around some Indians and you get a whole bunch of heart. Now you in the Seminole War. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Look at this say. Look what this say. It say the Negro slaves, the slaves, are in fact the masters. Of their red owners. Y'all be thinking Cosmon making this shit up. Y'all think I be making this shit up? I know y'all do. But come on. Drop a bomb on that shit. Because what? The Negro slaves are in fact the masters of their red owners. Now they talk about these mongoloidal types as the red niggas. But these niggas copper color. The Negro. Ain't no mistaking who copper colored in this. Something ain't right, y'all. This ain't how they told us the story go. They didn't tell us the story go like this. Huh? That these so-called slaves was smarter than their masters. That the slave was actually the master. They ain't tell us this story, y'all. Listen, and it says, who seemed fully conscious. I gotta read it one more time. Let me go back. Let me just go back. I'm gonna highlight this, right? This is deep. Watch this. The Negro, let me substitute that. The aboriginal American, quote unquote. Now, if I want to say slave, I can replace it with Negro. See how the game works? Y'all got to dodge the hijack. Basically, he just double talked you. The Negro slave. So the slave. When do Negroes become Slavs? I've never heard that. The first slaves are the Slavic people. Period. That's why their whole area is called Yugoslavia or South Slave Country. You dig what I'm talking about? All that area over there is Slav area, region, where the slaves come from. So how does a Negro become a slave? A Negro become a Slav? Check the etymology on the word slave. It's Slav, S-L-A-V-E, S-L-A-V, and it's a people. I just want to highlight this one more time. The Negro slaves are in fact the masters of these Mongoloidal natives who seem fully conscious. They know they have a mental inferiority compared to the Negro who you trying to tell us is a slave. They're saying the Mongoloidal natives know they're not smart as the niggas. Look, if a Seminole wishes to convey a high idea of his own cunning, he will say, you no cheat me. I got real nigga with. Ha ha! I got the real nigga with me. You can't get down on me, white boy. I got the real indigenous man of America here with me. You can't cheat me. But look, he had to express that high idea, right, through a nigga. You know, cheat me. I got real aboriginal American nigga angry with me. The Negroes were the master spirits, as well as the immediate occasion of the Florida War. They openly refused to follow their masters. Think we ain't gonna fuck y'all niggas. What you gonna do about it? What's up, Billy? What you gonna do? Put these hands and feet on you, boy. I'll crack you upside your head with this cane. They openly refused to follow them niggas. Who the master? Nigga ain't going nowhere. You ain't neither. Sit your punk ass down. Dang. It hit different when you know the slave was actually the master. They openly refused. Nigga, I ain't going with y'all to follow their masters if they remove. Nigga, y'all going to Arkansas, carry your punk ass then. Go. Bad bitch. back. They openly refused to remove to Arkansas, and it was not till the nigger slave, no power ass nigga, no nothing, that they trying to sell you from Africa, who was actually an Indian, till they capitulated, till they said I. Wasn't until they said okay. To the Seminoles, all of them thought of immigrating. So it wasn't until your grandfather, your granddaddy and them said, nigga, we gonna get up out of here, man, because you keep up with these white boys and they keep coming down here tearing shit up. All right. We'll move. This is what you gonna do though. Because remember, he struck a deal. Who really the slave? Who really the master? And it was not till they capitulated that the Seminoles thought of immigrating. So that means they had power over the people they keep telling you is their slaves, they masters. The friendship of a man. Now look, this is what they talking about, how Ben Bruno looks at Billy Bowlegs. He said, the friendship of a man who has $100,000 in cash, right, and 2 marriageable daughters is worth cultivating. You right. I would advise anyone who wishes to get in the good graces of Billy Bowlegs to pay special attention to Ben Bruno, nigga. Ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. Nigga, this is Harper's Weekly, June 12th, 1858. This 19 years after the Indian removal, these niggas still down there. The nigga said, we ain't moving, cuz. And what they do? They stayed there. And until they said, we feel like going, we'll go to Arkansas. We'll go get that land. But look, lock this 100,000 in, cuz. You know how much 100,000 is in 1858? We damn near billionaires, nigga. We you dig what I'm talking about? It's like we multi-millionaires in today's money. You dig what I'm talking about? So yeah. We gonna get this together. Oh, and your daughter's fine? Yeah, you the homie. Yeah, I got you, cuz. Let's work these deals out. You dig what I'm talking about? That's what Ben Bruno was on. You dig what I'm talking about? You let them tell you anything, man. You let these people tell you anything you want to. But remember, this ain't an Indian. This a European. Don't he look like the niggas on the motherfucking plantations? On them reservations? Plantations, same thing. Huh? That's how you know them people on them reservations is imposters, many of them. What Donald Trump say? They don't look like Indians to me. And they don't look like Indians to Indians. All right? Let me show y'all the oldest name of the Americas. Right? Now, this is circa 72,175 years ago during the very first arc cycle of Wayne. Right? A 3,000 year period of time, right? Now we're coming to the end of the first 200 year period, right? In that time, right? So, true God at the time, Setantes has set up the heavens of the earth all around the world, and now he's going to visit them, right? And look what it says. First of all, there are names older than America, You dig what I'm talking about? All that. You dig what I'm talking about? Turtle Island, all that shit, trash. First of all, Turtle Island is an idea that comes from the Native Americans. That's not us. That's not what we told them. They made that story up off what we told them about Guatemala. Huh? But did y'all know it's a name older than Guatemala? Guatemala or Guatemala or the land of the four tribes, huh? Or the land of the crossing, the great crossing, right here in America, right? That name had only existed since 22,553 BC. Why? Why that year specifically? Because that is the year that the great deluge or the flood happened. See, Gautama, Ham, Shem, Japhet, right, are not men. Ham ain't no man. Ham correlates to roughly four things. Ham is a time. Ham is a people that go a landmass. Ham is a group of ships and a people who go on to repopulate that certain landmass. Shem is a landmass, right? A group of ships, right? A time and a people who go on that certain land and repopulate that land. Right? The story is allegorical for real events. If Noah ain't a man, his sons can't be men. If Noah is a time, his sons are time. But see, y'all only got 3 parts of a 5-part story. See, most of us growing up, we only know about Ham, Shem, Japhet. First of all, most of us growing up, we got the story that Noah is a man. Noah ain't even a man. Right? Noah is a cosmological time. Right? It is the place at a certain time that the earth was traveling through when the great deluge came down. That 17th ark cycle after the creation of man is called Noah. Noah's ark, the ark of Noah. Get it? So and then let me tell you this. Noah is a time, but Noah also represents all 12,420 people who go to the 4 great land masses and repopulate them people. So Noah, right? And this is why they say his generations were pure, right? Because the 12,420 people were the people designated to go on and repopulate the planet, because the planet, for the most part, fell in degradation through retro breeding. You dig what I'm talking about? They're breeding themselves out of existence, going lower and lower and lower till they were basically like animals. A cataclysm came, which was purposely caused, the great flood, right? Purposely caused. You dig what I'm saying? And I believe a worldwide flood happened. Not what I believe. It's provable. You dig what I'm talking about? But let me show you the so in the first ark cycle, right? The very first god of the earth, right, is going to check up on his homies, his lords and lord gods, who set up heavens over different parts of different continents. Now, Sethantes set his up over the now sunken landmass called Waga or Pan, which is now the floor of the Pacific. So his heaven was over the Pacific Ocean. So from that way, you can go east and go right into the Americas, west, right into Asia. Okay? Right. So, yep, and that's what I'm saying. Your whole Lemuria, Mu, Atlantis ideas come from the subcontinent known as Pan. Right? And he's going to check the heavens that his homeboys he put, who are called lords, right, and lord gods, who work for him, God, right, who works for creator, right. See that line of order, right? So he going to check out they establishments, they little heavens for the very first time. So they going to America. The very first God and the homies. Watch this. Check this. Let me blow this up a little bit. Right? So Book of Seth and T's 11 and 2, the master of the ship. Right? So God is riding in the ship. The master of the ship provided well for the journey. And presently, the vessel of fire, the fire ship, sped over the water, high above the clouds that cover the ocean, onward to the west. Right? Bleak and desolate through the spirit sea. What spirit sea? What sea do you cross coming from the west? What great sea you cross coming from the west? The Atlantic. So as above, so below. Where there's land masses on the ground, there are plateaus and land masses going upward above it into the Ethereal world. Where there is water in the heavens above, there are spirit seas and waters that must be crossed too. Notice God is riding in a ship. He ain't got no wings. He ain't thinking himself somewhere and poof, he appears. That ain't how it works. Right? Onward to the west, bleak and desolate through the spirit sea, unseen by mortals. On the distant borders, what? Where the lands come to the water's edge. The Lord, remember, he's going to see his homie, the Lord. God is going to see the Lord of the land of Tori. You ain't even never heard of this. The oldest name for the Americas is Tori. This is where you get your Torres, your Turtle Island whole even mythos from me, because we told them niggas. Right? The most ancient name for the Americas is Tori. We get Guatemala, right? Look, the Lord of the land. Am I showing this? Okay, I just wanted to hold on. Make sure I'm showing this. The Lord of the land of Tori, America, stood. So remember, he went over the sea from the west, Africa. This is where he's crossing at, where the lands come to the water's edge, to the east coast of America, to the Lord of the land of what? Tori, which is America, stood, right? Stationed in a ship to welcome God to the great west land. So we know we're talking about America, right? And this was the land that the angels later. Now, and when we talk about later, remind you, this is 72,000 to 70,000 BC. Later, some 50,000 years later, they're going to call that place North Guatemala or North America, signifying what? The meeting of the nations, the crossing of the 4 tribes. Guatemala. You dig what I'm talking about? But we gonna go a little further. We're gonna go a little further. Right. This is 100 and let me see. This is 103 facts about Black Indians. Let's go down here to number 12. Number 10. The U.S. government selected a certain physiological type of native, aka Indian, to promote to the world as this is a real Indian, as well as this is how real Indians should look. Ain't that what they did? Ain't that what they did? It says the U.S. government selected a certain physiological type of native. Now, mind you, anybody can be a native. Not everybody can be an Indian. You can't be indigenous if you come from somewhere else. You can't be indigenous to America if you come from Italy. You can't be indigenous to America if your people come from Siberia. You can't be indigenous to America. You dig what I'm talking about? An Indian if your ancestors come from Europe or Africa. It's only one man indigenous or an Indian to this land, and he is a Negro. Already done showed y'all 100 times and showed y'all that Jaja put the nigga here on purpose. And then described him what he looked like. Generally tall, a beautiful people, be spiritually inclined also, athletic, brown skin, brown, with long, black, coarse hair. There's only one people in America who fit that. Only one. Nobody else. And it ain't hard to tell. Right? Y'all see that? Y'all see that? What the government did? Let's get back to this. The dark-skinned natives, indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, aka niggas, were reclassified during the 17th and 1800s as what? Negroes and coloreds. So all this Indian talk or this nigger talk, these coloreds are blacks. You're black. Huh? Are Indians. They just got reclassified in the 17 and 1800s. Certain dark-skinned natives were allowed to settle on reservations with pale-skinned natives. Most were not. This pale-skinned native comes about as a result of the original dark-skinned natives, we seen Billy Bowlegs, breeding with pale-skinned Europeans. Told you. Didn't I tell you they're European and Asian? Oh, man, you be just making it. Yeah, okay. A light-skinned native born from this union would again breed with the pale-skinned European. Thus, the progeny of this union would become more pale or genetically recessive, just like they are today. This is why they are the Q haplogroup. Our blood type over here, what they say is O. Our blood type is O in the Americas. You can have an O positive, you can have an O negative, but it's going to be O. If you're aboriginal to the planet, you have O blood. a light-skinned native born from this union bred again. Blah, 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 blah. After centuries of this breeding process, eventually produced the pale-skinned native of the Western Hemisphere. The dark-skinned natives who did not mix their seed still endure. Shout out to the Lakota. Shout out to many of the Haudenosaunee. Shout out to the Algonquins in America, huh? Shout out to the Ma'anya, the great Aliatis, the great Alatis, where you probably get the name Atl and Atlantis from. Atlan, Atl. There was a giant from America who fought in the Titanomachy named Atlan, and one named Atlas. Ooh-wee. And it was from America, the Western Hemisphere. Crazy, right? The U.S. government has reclassified most as Black Americans or African Americans. So the dark-skinned indigenous Americans who did not mix their seed still endure. They just call them Black Americans and African Americans. Dang. Certain dark-skinned natives, indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, were given an ultimatum. Go to Oklahoma, Arkansas, and be Indian on the reservation, or stay where you at and be reclassified as a nigger of color. Is this why Ben Bruno in the end of the day, you dig what I'm talking about, chose to get up and say, all right, dog, some 20 years later, all right. I ain't no nigga. You ain't gonna make me no slave. We'll go. Well, let me get that 150,000 about that 150,000 about your cuz. We gonna go live good where we going. We just seen this in the story of Ben Bruno and Billy Bowlegs to go to Oklahoma, but they always tell us about Oklahoma. They don't tell us about that land in Arkansas. Shout out to the GOAT, huh? Shout out to the GOAT, Deshaun LeFay. Oh, shout out to my young brother Belair too. He out there in Arkansas too. We might have to tiptoe in the garden on niggas. You dig what I'm talking about? See if we can find some of this land. Might be in Arkansas for a minute. Most dark-skinned natives indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, who were reclassified as Negroes. First of all, you were reclassified as Indian. Remember, we ain't never call ourselves Indian. That's another name another nigga gave you. No, you was Shatta. You was Timuqua. Huh? You was Haudenosaunee. Huh? You was Ojibwe. You was She. Shatta. Muskogee. Miami. You dig what I'm talking about? Wasn't none of this. They reclassified you as Indian first, and then reclassified you as Negro, and then as color, and then as Black, and then as freedman, and then as freeman, and then you see what I'm saying? This is why the name flip, because they're trying to separate you from who you is. They're trying to have you look over Africa so much that you forget that you from here, that you standing in America. So they give you this wild ass story. And I'm not saying that what nobody brought from Africa. I'm saying that the Africans were brought from Africa, but that the Africans are white. I'm saying the people who got enslaved, indentured, brought across them ships, enslaved, were the Afrikaans, or white people from Africa. Wasn't until after the 1700s, going into the 1800s, that many of them even just start coming here. Other than that, many of them was Europeans, brown skin, indentured coming here. They tell you about 1619, they don't never tell you about 1618. 1618, 375,000 enslaved, indentured Europeans were brought to the Americas. Huh? King James knew what he was doing. He was cleaning the country out, getting that riffraff. But on the other end, it was all falling back on us through an ideology of white supremacy, this made up ideology of I get this because my skin color. Dark-skinned natives indigenous to the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, who embraced the Spanish culture during the colonial era, either by choice or by force, have found themselves engulfed or assimilated into Spanish culture and the Spanish language. Now, most of them have lost the knowledge of themselves and their true identity. They have been reclassified as Latino and Hispanic. Wow. Wow. All native people or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, aka Indians, spoke different dialects of languages synonymous to the Hebrew language. Well, there is no Hebrew language. In fact, the so-called Samaritan Hebrew is just a version of the Paleo-Indo-European system that comes 100% out of Europe, out of Egypt. Out of Egypt. Egypt birthed the languages of Western and Central Europe. It's the Paleo-Indian tongue, and it's called Semiris. This is where you get your whole idea that you are Semitic from. You always ask Semi what? It's Semiris. The language, one of the languages of the Egyptians that went north into Europe. Right? And still is, even in this state, is a Egyptized or Hamitic version of Phoenician. Oh, twist it up. You thought that the Hamitics, the Phoenicians were Hamitic. Hold on one second, y'all. Give me a second, man. Let me bump some music for y'all real quick. And let me take this phone call real quick, y'all. back to this real quick. Say, most early European writers during the 1400s, throughout the 1800s, including pale-skinned Jews, all agreed that the heathen savage of the Western Hemisphere, aka your black ass, throughout the Americas, were without doubt descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. Well, no. Nah. But, yeah, no. No. Now, in later times, did our Israelite brothers come over here? Yeah. And they have been coming, since 1553 BC. They've been coming this way since the beginning of the Arkaban, right? And for the most part had reached the western coast of America by 1849. That's your nigga ass. But the Owaspi does say that the sons of Iwata from America would meet the sons of Moshe, who are from Shem but come through Ham, right? They migrate through Ham. And that we would meet the sons of Capelia, the Indians. And later, we would meet the sons of Confucius, right? Which is the Asian. And the sons of Yist, which is the Japanese. You dig what I'm talking about? And we've been that mixing since. It is what it is. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all better get over this all this color stuff. Because Jaja say in this time it's gonna be the add mix race. Watch this. Hold on. Let me show y'all. Let me find this real quick for y'all real quick. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Am I spelling it? Okay. All right. Hold on, watch this. Look at this. I know y'all wanted to be all exclusive. You know what I mean? I know for many years that they taught you that it was just you, all by yourself. Nobody was chosen but you. Nobody but you was special. I know they told you that. I know. But it's not true, y'all. What makes you chosen is when you choose Creator. Have you chose Creator? Ask yourself that. He says, but in this era, I do not come to an exclusive people, but to the combination of all peoples, commingled together as one people. Hence, I have called this the Cosmon era. I am balanced. From this time forward, my chosen, from this time forward, my chosen, those who have chosen me, shall be of the amalgamated races who choose me. And these, the faithless, shall become the best and most perfect peoples in the earth. And they shall not consider race or color. They shall not consider the low-hanging fruit. If you got a couple extra melanocytes, a little extra drop of carbon in your epidermis. They shall not consider dumb shit like race and color, because you can't prove what a thing is by its color. And there is only one race. You're either human or you ain't. So they don't consider the low-hanging fruit like color and race. But what they do look for, but health and nobleness. Are you raising noble sons and daughters? Are you noble? But they shall consider health and nobleness as to the mortal part, as to the physical part. And as to spirit, they're going to look for peace and love and wisdom and good works and one great spirit only. What? Remember, when a mother and a father gets together and they produce a child that, if they are both in ascension themselves, produces a child higher raised than themselves. Look at your father. Get over it, y'all. No, what they mistaken as Israel, right? What they mistaken as Israelite practices or Hebrew practices is the practices of, remember, the real Israel, not the Hebrews, not the tribes and all that stuff, but the real praisers of the Great Spirit did the same thing everywhere in the world. You look at the practice of so-called Israel, it'd be no different than the practice of the Vedics. Be no different than the practice of the Hotian and Confucians of China. Be really no different than the practice of the Zarathustrians, the Zoroastrians. Wouldn't be no different than the Hamitic, what they call animist tribes. Wouldn't be no different than the great Egoquim of America. What they don't understand is that Israel and Algonquin are the exact same word. It means a praiser of the Great Spirit. Yeah. Now, there was a time where all the world spoke one language. That language is Phoenician. Try to speak, every language comes from Phoenician. Try to speak a language without phonetics. Try it. This is how you know that when they was writing Hebrew, whatever they was doing, they was hiding shit. But the Phoenician language allows for it. You can put ah, eh, e, o, u in any spot. Changes the meaning of the word. But what y'all need to know is the people who came from Africa spoke a different language. They looked sort of similar, yeah. But it wasn't until they got to praising. And one said, Jehovah. And one said, Yehovah. That it all made sense. Huh? And then remember, this is an outsider looking at y'all doing y'all thing. He's saying, damn, this look like this, what the Israelites do. Not knowing we can. Y'all don't know that Algonquin or Egoquim and Israel or Israel are the exact same word. Not the same people. It's a describer term for what the people, it's an adjective. It describes what the people did. And first of all, let's get this. Israel is 100% an Egyptian word. It did not come from the tribes of Iz and Zerl, who were a Shemitic people. It's based on the Egyptian describing the three tribes that walked in with Abram. One was called Iz, one was called Zerl, and the other one is called Lycian, or Shepherd King, or Hyksos. I would also pronounce later in time they are the Luwian. Check them out in Anatolia up there above Phoenicia. Now, pale-skinned European by the name of James Adair, an English writer and trader in the 18th century, lived amongst Black Indians in the Southeast. James Adair wrote a book entitled History of the American Indian. In his book, he claimed that the Indians of the Western Hemisphere were descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. James Adair, in his book History of the American Indian, wrote 23 arguments to support his finding that the so-called American Indians were descendants of the tribes of Israel. But let me show you why they're saying that. All right. Sharp with this bitch, Jake. Surgical with this bitch, Jake. Hold on, let me get to this shit. This is why. Let me show you why they always try to mix us up with Israel. Why they righteously, you know what I mean, in truth, get it mixed up. Right? They just telling what they see. Now recall that Geechee means both creator and God. Right? Now, then another evil god, Christ, right, who was called an evil god by the Indians, shall come and flay and destroy my sons and daughters, the great Anguis of America, the Negroes, the copper-colored people of America, to cover all the lands over with pure blood. Who was enslaved and warred against like that in America? Wasn't them Native Americans. It was us. Then I will come again and rout the evil god, and raise up my sons and daughters full of glory. Right? And what's going to happen? I will bring their kindred. They're faithist brothers. They're kindred. Does that mean we have to be the exact blood? Yes. Similar. And this is why he left the Negro type that was like the ancient Israelitish type of Abram and them in America. These are the Indians. Copper-colored Negroids. I will bring their kindred, their brothers, their faithists from across the water. What water? The Atlantic. How do we know these the Israelites? Because they are wise-speaking people who worship none born of woman. The real Israelites never worshiped Abram, never worshiped Yeshua, never worshiped no man, not Moses, not nobody, only the Creator. And these are people who do not war, who do not kill off weaker nations. I will come in the Tinachi. I will come in the Huchikas. Shout out to all my shatas. Remember you are from a place where we have the Chattahoochee River. I got this in my family. Shout out to the Mohican and to the Iroquois Confederates, the Haudenosaunee, the people of the Longhouse. Shout out to my peoples. But look, the Israelites are their kindred to the American Indians. My hand shall reach around the earth in that day. What day? Cosmos. I will chase away all gods and saviors born of woman, and all men shall worship the Great Spirit only. So yeah, you dig what I'm talking about? They have been predestined to be coming over here for more than 3,500 years. You got to understand when this prophecy was, this is a prophecy that already got completed. We just didn't know. This prophecy was given in 3953 BC. That these people would come from overseas and meet up with these people. After these people start to get fucked over by European people or people who had a God called Christ. We know that that's European people. They had the God Christ. So this is why they always mix us up. Because y'all don't know the Oranothan or the modus operandi of the Cosmon era. He said, out of the amalgamated races, those who got the best of the best of the best of the best genetics, out of them, they gonna become supreme in all the world. Out of the faithless. Ooh. Now, I want to show this little video real quick, man, and your boy Cosmo ain't gonna get up out of here, man. I'm just doing this fair use. Fair use. I'm doing it to teach purposes only. Please don't try to give me a strike. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to, let me see who this is. Sonoya Wahaya. You dig what I'm talking about? Oh, shout out to you, sisters. That's a sister. You dig what I'm talking about? And she, Mushkobi. How you know? I can tell by her name. She got that Shatta blood in her. She got that Creek shit in her. She got that Muskogee blood. You dig what I'm talking about? She got that southeastern aboriginal blood. Asio Sedanale. To you too. Sonoyi Wahaya. Wahaya. Talking about the creator right there. You dig what I'm talking about? Let me play this for y'all. Let me blow this up. And we're gonna get to some of this aboriginal information, and then Cosmonian gonna check out y'all. Let me know that.
Whereas Black Americans who were actually indigenous Americans did not perish in the genocidal acts committed in America. Instead, many were transported and sold as slaves in other places. The economy accepts the truth is that a large population of Black Indians were forcefully shipped from America. Not Africans, but American Indians were shipped to various destinations. Throughout the colonization of North America, every European nation made use of Indian slaves for various purposes, such as construction and plantations. These slaves were not only employed in the North American continent, but also in high demand in the outposts of the Caribbean. The report of the Industrial Commission on Agriculture and Agricultural Labor, Volume 10, provides evidence, as it explicitly mentions.
The large Negro population on the coast of South Carolina is quite different from this here described. The mayor of Beaufort says the town is remarkable for quiet and good order. For 20 years past, not a single individual has been killed or seriously injured in any disturbance within the corporate limits. That is the statement of the mayor of Beaufort. And Beaufort is perhaps the blackest spot in the whole South. That is to say, the Negro population predominate more there than anywhere else. There is a peculiar historical fact connected with that town that I would like to mention to the commission. That is the place where the federal troops first set the Negroes free. It was done on those islands in the neighborhood of Beaufort, and they are now there the predominant race. And this mayor refers to them as a quiet community. A most peculiar book on research the fact that the African lived on these islands long before the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus. He is high authority, and he says that the Yamasee Indians were Negroes, what were known afterwards as the fiercest of the Indian tribes of the South. The well-known Yamasee Indians were Africans.
End quote. Despite the commonest assumption that individuals with dark skin are of African descent, this claim is infrequently true. However, the notion persists and is often reiterated. In addition, the proponents of this fallacy persist in their assertion, stating that physical characteristics alone can determine a person's ethnicity, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Their declaration persists in the following manner.
Question. By Mr. Phillips. Is it a fact that they were much darker than the other Indians? Answer. Yes, it is a fact. Question. And the hair was different too? Answer. So it is stated by one of the most distinguished ethnologists in the world. Another corroborative proof is that the Spaniards found that one Negro was equal to 10 Indians for work, and they therefore imported these Indian Negroes and carried them to the West Indies to experiment with.
End quote. Apart from their acknowledgement of performing experiments on the indigenous Americans, there are other troubling aspects to take into account. We can discuss the other troubling aspects at a later time, but for now, it's worth noting that the acknowledgement of performing experiments on native inhabitants is significant on this land long before Christopher Columbus set foot in the Americas. However, one of them is the assumption being that they did not originate from Africa. In fact, they have always resided in this country.
I'm Derek Hankerson, and I'm with FirstCoast.tv. This morning, I'm with my cousin B, and we're at Flagler College for B. Good morning. Can you explain to the non-natives what B stands for?
B in our language, which our language is the language of Hichiti. A lot of the Mikosuki people speak a form of it right now, but B means head chief, and me being head chief of the Yamasee Indian Nation.
Is the Yamasee Nation a federally recognized tribe?
Well, that's a twofold question, and sometimes people lack the understanding of federal recognition versus federal acknowledgement. Federal acknowledgement is what we do have. Federal acknowledgement comes from various forms: treaties, federal quarters, where you petition the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Now, once you receive, make sure that your tribe is a part of that treaty, and or you prove that you have a federal acknowledgement through court documentation, you can now use that in order to be federally recognized. Acknowledgement through federal court documentation. And it's nothing that we put aside to online documentation and whatnot like that. But we do have federal acknowledgement through federal court system recognizing us as a legitimate tribe based on the standards of what a tribe is.
How do we distinguish between the Creeks and the Yamasees?
Well, that's a very complicated but simple question, and it was posed yesterday at the conference. What was the distinction? And what we found is that we know historically there was no difference. The Yamasee were renamed the Creeks. The Creeks did not exist until after the Yamasee War of 1715. If you get the book or you find yourself ever wanting to research a book, The Invention of the Creek Nation identifies that inside of the documentation. It says that the name Creek was created for a political purpose, which would be basically land acquisition. So I think to try and piece this thing together or the puzzle together for people will create disruption of history. I think it would upset a lot of people because you have a nation now called the Creek Nation that is totally recognized, and people are like, well, why aren't the Yamasee recognized if they are actually the Creeks?
Right.
And some of that supporting factor was the Yamasee was the only tribal nation here had an upper and lower chiefdom or confederacy.
Right.
So there was no upper or lower Creeks before there was an upper or lower Yamasee.
Right.
And so, without going into detail,
right,
because this is a very controversial topic.
Right.
Without going into detail, I would just employ the viewers to, do their own research.
Exactly.
And find out for themselves.
And that's why it pays to tell the truth from the beginning. My last question is, why do academics assume all Yamasee have been extinct?
To be fair to the academics, I would not say that all academic scholars think the Yamasee were extinct, because if they did, we wouldn't have a conference today.
Good point.
This conference also outlined and entailed through factual documentation and proof through bloodlines, the continuation of Yamasee clan members and grandmothers, and everything that they've had and presented here, that we were never extinct. That's the purpose of the first ever Yamasee conference, which also correlates with the 300-year anniversary of the Yamasee War of 1715. The academic scholars that were centuries old, as we like to say, let's go back in time, they had a unique purpose. They had a specific purpose to make the Yamasee extinct, because we had a land settlement. We had a land agreement. We had one of the first reservations in the United States. It behooved them to say that these people who have given us problems for over centuries now are dead. They're gone. It gives you right now to land, gives you rights to the land. They needed to do that to disrupt the fabric of the Native American population, and also to encompass the land that they was trying to colonize. So after the Yamasee War, they had to have the Lord Proprietors feel comfortable about their investments,
right,
coming from England and sending over their indentured
right,
slaves, servants,
right,
to come here and then colonize the land.
Right.
It's sort of hard to say, I want you to invest in something in this new world, and you're saying, we have to worry about the savages,
right,
about those savages, that just killed 400, Charleston people, and killed, massacred all of our people.
Right.
Well, the best way to do that was to write us out. The Europeans have a saying that says, the pen is mightier than the sword.
That's correct.
And in this instant, it was.
Right.
Our people never had the need or want to write or read their documentation.
Right.
We never cared about how they seen us.
Right.
Our whole purpose was for survival.
That's right.
We cared about our children,
That's
our
right.
grandmothers, the same
families.
thing we are now.
Exactly.
And the whole writing this out was just that. But anyone that takes the time out, without being ignorant,
right,
you actually take the time out and say, hey, how did these people become extinct when you identifying them as Seminoles,
right,
or you identifying them as Miccosukee,
right,
or you identifying them as Yamasee Seminoles, or all the different names they give us? How is that an extinct race?
Right.
How do you say these people no longer exist when you say these other tribesmen married into their women and had babies by their women, when every tribe in the Southeast had a matrilineal society?
Right.
So that meant that if you had a baby from a woman and she was of the Yamasee, then that baby was Yamasee.
That's right.
And so they have these things documented on Seminole records.
Right.
They have these things documented amongst the Miccosukee.
Right.
They have it documented amongst the Creeks. So, when you say that, again, the extinction, people that have a purpose will look past that.
Right.
People who have a purpose will say, oh, well, they're all African, or they're, they're, we're not. We happen to be dark-skinned people, and actually, we're not even black. We're red-skinned. We're red-skinned. We're
red-skinned.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They say copper tone.
Exactly. It's redskins.
It's redskins.
Right. And hence the big debate with the Washington Redskins. Some look at it as being offensive. Some look at it as being derogatory. But what most people don't know is, prior to the British immigrating to Virginia and Washington, who were there? The Redskins.
The Redskins. And that's exactly right. It is so pivotal that people really understand the literal meaning of things.
Exactly.
And what I mean by that is, when people see dark-skinned Indians, and if we're going to see some cousins, the Mikosuki.
Yes.
Today, we're going down to Miami to see Leroy Osceola,
Yes.
the traditional Mikosuki.
Yes.
When you see their ancestors, which are our ancestors,
Yes.
you look at us. You're looking at mirror images of us.
Right.
And so that is important, because when you see modern day Mikosuki who have bred out a little bit,
right,
or are breeding out
right,
gradually,
right,
and they become lighter and lighter of skin,
right,
those with the truth will say, well, this is coming from the raping of our women,
right,
the raping of our children, and their skin tone gets lighter.
Right.
And I say that because, you know, it becomes so controversial when people see people of our skin tone
who are lighter or darker.
Who are darker.
Exactly.
And then they say, well, they're Africans. That is like saying all that.
Sure.
They get called that.
It's ignorance.
It is.
It's
pure ignorance at its best.
Right.
And it's also a form of racism, because it's a competition.
Right.
What is it that you don't want the dark-skinned Indians to achieve?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you're perpetuating the same type of mentality, or
ignorance,
ignorance that your ancestors have, you know, were part to, that they had, you know, subjected themselves through, in which what they were fighting about. You're doing the same thing. And then we won't do, as Native Americans, we won't say, well, brother, you're lighter than myself, and science have proven you're Mongoloid. Your ancestry is a Mongoloid, and that you come from Siberia.
Right.
You know, we won't do that. So we don't have to play that game.
That's right.
What we do is we embrace all people, but we ask that you truly get an understanding of Native American history, Native American documentation. There is nothing that we wrote about us.
Right.
Go back to, if you believe in, you know, the white man, then go back to his documentation and look at what he says.
Right. Right.
And when they could no longer documents, they put census records.
Right.
You know, they started putting the census to find out where we
were.
Where
are you?
And then they wrote down Negro.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I asked everybody, where was a Negro on the continent? Name the country Negro.
There is no country. Actually, it was a Spanish term for black.
Plain and simple.
So we were in Spain.
Plain and simple. But you had a question. I apologize.
No, what I was going to say is my cameraman, Jorge Rivera, had two questions. And one question was, would you speak something in Yamasee? Would you say something in Yamasee for non-native speaking people?
Ani miki siko halam hachutolame Yamasee hajo. Ani miki be ayati Yamasee. Ani fusi eripaka hajo. Ska mikosuki. Puni Yamasee unke. Shonabi to you, your cameraman, to the people. A rough translation is, I am Siku Hidden Eagle, Yamasee, of the chief Arapaka Hajo. Sam Jones is what he's known, and he lived in Mikosuki, Florida. Our people still exist, and we thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be able to speak and clarify some records.
Truthfully,
thank you.
And the second question that he has is, how do you think DNA testing has brought about, I hate using the word evolution, but I will, brought about the evolution of people actually knowing who they are and where they're from?
Yeah, I'm not there. It hasn't. DNA testing would say that somebody was back in the 1700s and they drew blood from a native, and now they have blood that they can compare it to. That's not true. What they say is DNA testing allows us to know that your ancestors have been on this portion of the continent for so long because of genetic markers, because of the plants that here, the air that you breathe, because of this particular continent's environmental makeup. Okay, so they can trace where your people were versus where they were not. But the problem becomes with that, they've traced markers with everyone that says at one point in time we're all linked into what they call a African woman called Lulu Amalu. Every human being has the same genetic trait and makeup. Every human being can be traced back to one part of this world. And those are markers like the tree, our brothers and sisters, the trees. When you go inside of a tree, they have rings, and the rings can tell you how long that tree has lived and what it has endured. They can literally tell you if that tree encompassed a storm and what damage it did to it.
Right.
You know, they can tell you if smokestacks was around it, and had, the carbon within the tree, absorbed so much smokestack, so they can say, oh, at this particular time, this tree was around a fire. They're doing that now with DNA. And what they found within DNA is there is no genetic marker or makeup that says that you're Indian. There is no genetic marker that says you're Native American. All they say is your people have been here for so long, and that you have people that were here because of their genetic marker or their genetic makeup.
That makes sense. Well, thank you, cousin.
Thank you. Should I be checked?
Yeah.
My previous statement is further supported by this evidence, confirming the transportation of slaves to the Caribbean. The Caribbean is a subregion of the Americas that consists of the Caribbean Sea and its islands. The nearby coastal areas on the mainland may also be included. The region is southeast of the Gulf of Mexico and the North American mainland, east of Central America, and north of South America. The West Indies is a subregion of North America, surrounded by the North Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea, which comprises 13 independent island countries and 18 dependencies and 3 archipelagos, the Greater and Lesser Antilles, and the Lucayan Archipelago. We possess additional evidence supporting the assertion that we are, indeed, the American Indian, as follows in the book by John Smith, The General History of Virginia, New England, and the Summer Isles, together with the True Travels, Adventures and Observations in a Sea Grammar, Volume 1. The statement is presented as follows. On page 123.
3 more such like devils came rushing in with the like antique tricks, painted half black, half red, but all their eyes were painted white, and some red strokes like 100 machados along their cheeks. Round about him, those fiends danced a pretty while, and then came in 3 more as ugly as the rest, with red eyes and white strokes over their black faces. At last, they all sat down right against him.
Despite his racist remark labeling them as devils and ugly, he explicitly mentions that their faces were black. As the narrative progresses to page 125, he proceeds with his argument and emphasizes this fact.
2 days after, Powhatan, having disguised himself in the most fearful manner he could, caused Captain Smith to be brought forth to a great house in the woods, and thereupon a mat by the fire to be left alone. Not long after, from behind a mat that divided the house was made the most dolefulest noise he ever heard. Then Powhatan, more like a devil than a man, with some 200 more as black as himself, came unto him and told him now they were friends.
In this passage, John Smith recounts that King Powhatan had 200 individuals who were just as dark-skinned as he was. This suggests that not only was King Powhatan black, but also that his tribe shared the same physical characteristic. The book Old Panama and Castilla del Oro offers further evidence. On page 11, in the footnotes, March 30th, 1885, Poland was entirely consumed, with the exception of the buildings of the Panama Railroad, the French Canal Company, and the Pacific Mail Steamship Line. The loss was estimated at $6 million and 10,000 persons were left shelterless. This fire was started by Pedro Preston and a horde of dark-skinned insurgents at the outset of a so-called revolution. End quote. The revolution led by Pedro Preston will be addressed in the future. Nevertheless, the insurgents were described as having dark skin, and it becomes clear that these dark-skinned insurgents were in fact the indigenous people of South America, as we will discover in the following passage.
The aboriginal people of the Bahamas, the Lucayans, discovered by Columbus, were a tall, graceful, dark-skinned race of barbarians. They were gentle and loving, quite unlike their cousins on the mainland, or their fierce neighbors to the south, the Caribs, who dwelt in the Lesser Antilles. They possessed pottery and stone implements, like celts, arrowheads, mortars, and pestles, and were expert in the use of their canoes. Columbus well describes them. All of them go as naked as they came into the world. Their forms are graceful, their features good, their hair as coarse as a horse's tail, cut short in front and worn long upon their shoulders. They are dark of complexion, like the Canary Islanders, and paint themselves in various colors.
End quote. The colonizers did not bring in excessive numbers. It would surpass their own population, nor did they make any reference to such a possibility. In reality, they acknowledged that the indigenous dark-skinned population were related to the inhabitants of the neighboring islands and even the North American mainland. If you would like to express your encouragement towards these works and content, please go to PayPal, YT, Sinoyi, Way, and
Dang, I was talking. I had my mic all muted. You dig what I'm talking about? Hey, man. I was just saying that they lied about everything. They lied about everything, y'all. So don't take anything at face value. Don't believe men. Don't believe angels. Don't believe gods. Trust in Creator. He is the only safe way. And you don't need nobody else in the world to have that one-on-one with him. You don't need no middleman. No man can die for your sins. I bet you don't shoot nobody and Jesus come down and do your time for you. Bet he won't do that. He ain't that powerful. Huh. You know, so with that being said, man, this is Jehovah Chronicles number 49. Number 49. You dig what I'm talking about? Dominic Harriet asks, what about Japheth? Right? Japheth is what we call China and Russia, modern day. Shem is the Australia, Southeast Islands, modern day India, and Persia. That's all Shem. It's long and skinny and is bound in between Japheth and Ham, or the Middle East and Africa. Right? That and that African continental plate extends all the way up to the Apennine Mountains, the Alps. It would be Spain in the farthest west, where it touches France, Gaul. Right? Remember, everywhere continents touch, what happens? Subduction. One of these plates got to go under the other. The heavier one usually it goes up under the other. So that means where where continents touch, there's always a subduction zone, right? And what happens right there every time when continents touch? One goes underneath, one continent raises up, and the other one goes under, and a mountain range is created. So Ham, which would include the Middle East and Turkey, right? But right where Turkey is, right where Turkey is, and it touches into the European plate right there, is a subduction zone unlike no other, right? It's so active right there because there's a piece of continent in between the what would be Japhetic, Hamitic, and European plate right there, right at Turkey. So it's like a little chunk in between the European plate and the African plate that kind of just, it always throws off earthquakes right there. And when you look at the continental plate, that is the greatest subduction zone in the world. So we see why they have so many earthquakes in Turkey, because, well, right there, you know what I mean? The continents are still moving one up under the other. And there's like a little chunk of continent. You dig what I'm talking about? That's the best way I can explain it. That kind of rumbles around in between the two. And it's right at Turkey. It's crazy. And y'all go check that out. But yeah, Japheth is modern day China and Russia. Well, yeah. You kind of got a point, bro. Yeah. 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 And then once you put the faith is understanding, you dig what I'm talking about? It really couldn't have been no history without us. We taught all the great writers to write. Who taught the world to speak in one language? I'm just saying, man. Look, I think this was a fire build, man. You dig what I'm talking about? Sub, like, share, man. Go out there. Hit that like button. It's free, man. It's your boy Cosmonian. Don't be scared of that like button. That share button ain't gonna bite you none. I promise you it ain't gonna bite you. And if they got something to say, man, you know, direct them on over to Cosmonian. I got the gamma ray out today. You dig what I'm talking about? So I'm gonna throw these Aegean driving goggles on. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm gonna throw on these nebular space boots. You dig what I'm talking about? This Aegean driving jacket. You dig what I'm talking about? This giant cap. Right? They done fueled up the fire ship. You dig what I'm talking about? That young Ariata. You dig what I'm talking about? Them boys, they hit the wheels for me and everything. You dig what I'm talking about? Got me crispy. You know what I mean? Just want everybody to, you know, buckle up. We about to be taking off soon. You dig what I'm talking about? Back into the higher heavens. You dig what I'm saying? We gonna be gone, baby, and until the next time. I want y'all to breathe in. Let that light in. Because I'm Cosma and I'm Ma.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh,
it's that jehovih, that chow mein, that pepper bull, that tau mein, since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao Sang, so as above, it's so below. That up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing current? See, the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ether. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing political. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sealer. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door stop. In the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui.
inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you make it Salat. Well, I'm a Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.